Good morning and welcome to the inaugural day of Paris Infraweek 2023, the unique European infrastructure network bringing together the most influential global players from the whole ecosystem of the infrastructure from Europe, France, and of course from the emerging markets. My name is Sasha Vakulina, I'm Euronews business editor, and it's my great honor to be your host during the day. The 2023 edition will tackle the growing role of infrastructure as the drivers of decarbonization and the digitalization of our economies against a backdrop of profound paradigm shifts accelerated by macroeconomic imbalances, massive financing needs and other aspects. Now, before we open this day packed with some of prominent sessions and conversations, I just want to tell you that the translation is available from French, Portuguese and English for the opening part of the Paris Infraweek inaugural day and then during the day, but you will definitely need it now. Now, without further ado, I'm inviting here on stage for the opening Roland LESCURE, Minister Delegate in charge of Industry, Government of France. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much for your nice introduction. Bienvenue à Paris. Welcome to Paris. Benvindo in Paris. Dear Miriam, I'd like to welcome you to Paris. Miriam BELCHIOR, she's Executive Secretary of Casa Civil in Brazil. And she's come here and she's going to speak just after me. So it's a pleasure to have you here in Paris. Up until 6 years ago, I could have been here, but I would have been in the room. I used to be the number 2 of Caisse de dépôt et placement du Québec, CDPQ. And one of our main pride was our infrastructure team. So I hope they're here today. And I hope they'll be working with you guys all week. Obviously, I won't say more, but they're very good. Cher Augustin, Monsieur le Président. So Augustin is also someone who knows both sides of the story, because as you know, he's going to be speaking after Miriam. He's the chair of EUROPLACE. So he knows all about financing, but he's also the CEO of Aéroports de Paris. So he knows pretty much everything about infrastructure. So it's very nice to welcome you back here, Augustin. You are usual host of this place, but it's a pleasure to have you here too. And welcome everyone. Welcome to Paris. It's a very important week because at the end of the week we're going to meet South Africa in the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup. But it's also a very important week because you guys are here all week to talk about a very important subject. About 50, 60 years ago, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, the whole world embarked in financing, in building new kinds of infrastructures that were needed in order to make sure that post-World War II, the world would be built again, but also the world industry, the world economy, the world farming would be able to sustain growth and wealth across the world. At that time, probably more across the Western world, because the world was divided in two. That's when electric lines were built, that's when airports were built, that's when highways were built. They were built in France, they were built in Europe, they were also built then in Brazil. And my feeling is that we are at the wake of a similar infrastructure boom that's going to be key in order to succeed the new industrial revolution that we're all going through today, which is the decarbonization industrial revolution. We've taken this on board here in France. We've made tons of studies. We've made ecological planning. We have a plan in order to make sure that our industries, our transportation, our energy, our farming, our housing sectors all embark on this new industrial revolution that's going to lead us to be carbon neutral by 2050. We have an intermediate target of halving our CO2 emission by 2030. And for this, we're going to need a lot of technology. We're going to need hydrogen. We're going to need nuclear. We're going to need carbon capture. We're going to need new small nuclear modular reactors. We're going to need a lot of technology, and we're working on this too in order to finance startups and research programs that are going to help us streamline and speed up this whole industrial revolution. We're also going to need an awful lot of infrastructure. We're going to need more nuclear reactors. I know Brazil is embarking on building new reactors as well. As you know, we have a plan of building 6 and then possibly 8 more EPRs, which are big 21st century style nuclear reactors. We also embarked on a reflection on building smaller, more modular reactors that are going to help us build carbon-free electricity production close to industrial facilities. We also embarking on, we're going to need hydrogen, we're going to need new pipelines, we're going to need carbon capture, we're going to need carbon transport, we're going to probably need to get carbon where it came from, i.e. at the bottom of the Northern Sea. And for all of this, plus more, new train facilities, new public transport, obviously we're going to need a lot of financing. And I said earlier that I was talking about 50, 60, 70 years ago, but the way the Western world built the infrastructure, at that time the financing model was very different from the one we can envisage together, and hopefully you guys will be working on all week. We need to find new ways of financing those infrastructure. Anything to do with decarbonation is important, necessary, hard to price, hard to make profitable, at the end of the day, hard to finance. So we need to work together, the public entities, the governments, and the private entities, in order to find new ways of financing those 21st century's infrastructure, contract for difference, carbon price, new kinds of concessions, you name it, you have it. All this, we need you to help us think about that all. We're going to be doing it in France. We've had estimates that the annual need of new investments in France, not just for infrastructure, but for the whole decarbonation, is about 60 billion euros a year, private and public. I think that last year in France, the actual number, I have it somewhere, of infrastructure investment by you guys was above 4 billion euros, and it was mostly in renewable energies. So we need to change scale, and we probably need to add a 0 to that figure, and we're going to need to do it together. And that's why I think that the work you're going to be doing this week is very important, hopefully very important to you guys, because you are building future investment planning for your way of doing it, whether it's financing, whether it's legal, whether it's accountant, whether it's operational, but very important for us too. So we'll be following the work that you guys are embarking on this week. Very much looking forward to the conclusions that I'll get from my team when they follow the work you guys will be doing. Once again, welcome to Paris, and vive l'infrastructure et vive Infraweek. Merci.
The infrastructure boom for the new industrial revolution. Thank you so much, Roland, LESCURE Minister Delegate in charge of Industry, Government of France, and it's now my great honor to invite here on stage for the opening address, Miriam BELCHIOR, Deputy Minister, Casa Civil, Government of Brazil. Please, the stage is yours.
Bom dia a todos nessa abertura da Paris Infraweek 2023. I'm waiting. It's okay. Começando de novo, então, bom dia a todos nessa abertura da Paris Infraweek 2023, que celebra mais um momento de fortalecimento da amizade entre o Brasil e a França. Em nome do presidente Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, agradeço ao governo francês e ao Paris EUROPLACE pelo convite feito ao Brasil como país de destaque nessa 7ª edição da Paris Infraweek. Meus cumprimentos ao senhor ministro da Indústria, Roland, LESCURE, e ao senhor presidente da EDP e do Paris EUROPLACE, senhor Augustin de ROMANET. O Brasil e a França possuem uma relação de amizade de longa data, que em 2006 ganhou grande escala. Nessa ocasião, foi firmada a parceria estratégica Brasil-França, com uma ampla agenda de intercâmbio e cooperação. O então presidente Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva e Jacques Chirac aprofundaram nossas relações econômicas e comerciais, o diálogo político e a governança internacional e a colaboração em diversas áreas. O Brasil é hoje o segundo principal destino dos investimentos franceses entre os países em desenvolvimento, o que posiciona a França como o 3º maior investidor no Brasil, com aproximadamente 38 bilhões de dólares investidos. Atualmente, há cerca de 860 empresas francesas no Brasil. A participação francesa em projetos de infraestrutura brasileiros também é significativa, sobretudo nos setores de aeroportos, energia elétrica e óleo e gás. Empresas francesas venceram leilões de 27 empreendimentos, como a Vinci, a Total, a Engie, a Voltalia, a EDP, a Sadenco e Timac. Além desses investimentos, o maior projeto na área de defesa desenvolvida pelo Brasil é realizado em parceria com a França. Trata-se do Programa de Desenvolvimento de Submarinos, que soma quase 9 bilhões de euros. Passaram-se 9 meses desde quando o presidente Lula tomou posse em janeiro. Ao assumir, o presidente colocou em curso 3 grandes frentes de atuação: a retomada da normalidade democrática no país, o restabelecimento dos programas de bem-estar social garantidores de direitos e uma estratégia nacional de desenvolvimento justa, solidária, sustentável e soberana. A retomada da normalidade foi conduzida de maneira firme pelo presidente, em defesa da democracia, soberania e da união nacional. A democracia enfrenta um imenso desafio ao redor do planeta. Ela precisa ser defendida de todos os dias daqueles que tentam sujeitá-la a seus interesses e ambições de poder. A democracia precisa ser semeada, cultivada e cuidada, para que a colheita seja generosa para todos. Por essa razão, a democracia só tem sentido na medida em que promova, de fato, igualdade de direitos e oportunidades para todos, combatendo todas as formas de injustiça. Nessa frente de atuação, posso afirmar que finalizamos a primeira etapa de retomada de políticas fundamentais para o povo brasileiro, que foram destruídas nos anos anteriores. Ao mesmo tempo, desestruturamos políticas antinacionais e antidemocráticas. No campo das retomadas, a mais importante delas foi a restauração das condições de vida da imensa maioria da população brasileira, em especial dos 33 milhões de vítimas da fome no Brasil. O combate à fome voltou a estar no topo das iniciativas do nosso governo. A retomada, nesses 9 meses, abrangeu também outras políticas fundamentais para a população, como renda, saúde, educação e moradia. Reconstruímos o que foi destruído para seguirmos adiante. Entre os maiores desafios do presidente Lula em seu 3º mandato está também a recuperação econômica do Brasil. Os últimos anos foram marcados pela estagnação dos investimentos públicos e dos investimentos privados no nosso país. Atingimos o menor nível de investimentos em 50 anos. Para enfrentar tal conjuntura, colocamos em curso uma nova e revigorada Política Nacional de Desenvolvimento, recompondo o papel indutor e coordenador do Estado e potencializando as principais frentes de expansão da economia brasileira. Lançamos o novo PAC, Programa de Aceleração do Crescimento, com investimentos de 347 bilhões de dólares. O novo PAC tem o desafio histórico de acelerar a transição para uma economia de baixo carbono e, ao mesmo tempo, gerar desenvolvimento econômico, social e urbano para a população brasileira. O programa prevê 126 bilhões de dólares, 36% do total, em investimentos privados, na maior parte em concessões. Abordarei o novo PAC mais profundamente no painel de hoje à tarde, às 15h15, para o qual convido todos. No campo das relações internacionais, o Brasil retomou sua inserção soberana, se reencontrando com o mundo e com o multilateralismo. Nosso país assumirá a presidência do G20 a partir de dezembro, com o lema Construindo um Mundo Justo e um Planeta Sustentável. A presidência brasileira no G20 terá 3 prioridades: inclusão social e a luta contra a desigualdade, a pobreza e a fome, enfrentamento das mudanças climáticas e a promoção do desenvolvimento sustentável, e o enfrentamento das mudanças climáticas e a defesa da reforma das instituições de governança global para que reflita a geopolítica do presente. O tema da desigualdade irá perpassar de forma transversal todos os trabalhos de nossa liderança no G20. Como disse o presidente Lula, na cúpula para um novo pacto financeiro global, aqui mesmo em Paris, há 3 meses atrás, não é possível que, numa reunião entre presidentes de países importantes, a palavra desigualdade não apareça. Se não colocarmos isso com a mesma prioridade que a questão climática, podemos ter um clima muito bom e o povo continuar morrendo de fome em vários países do mundo. Para tanto, criaremos 2 forças-tarefas: a Aliança Global contra a Fome e a Pobreza e a Mobilização Global contra a Mudança do Clima. O Brasil, assim como o G20, também reconhece o papel preponderante da infraestrutura no desenvolvimento das nações. Fomentaremos o Hub de Infraestrutura Global do G20, criado em 2014, para trabalhar com governos, setor privado, bancos de desenvolvimento e outras organizações internacionais na implementação da agenda de infraestrutura. As medidas anunciadas no novo PAC, com 126 bilhões de dólares em investimentos privados e concessões, demonstram que estamos atentos à redução de riscos e ao aumento da financiabilidade dos projetos. Aliando o combate a desigualdades sociais e desenvolvimento econômico sustentável, o Brasil pretende dar sua devida contribuição ao enfrentamento dos principais desafios globais. Só faremos diferença se colocarmos a redução das desigualdades no centro da agenda internacional, transformando efetivamente o mundo ao nosso redor. Muito obrigada a todos pela atenção.
Thank you so much, Miriam BELCHIOR, Deputy Minister, Casa Civil, Government of Brazil. And today, during the day and during this week, we will talk a lot about how to tackle the issues of inequality and poverty with infrastructure. Please, the opening address, Augustin de Romanet, Chairman and CEO, ADP Group, Chairman, Paris EUROPLACE.
Hello. Mrs. Minister, Your Excellency, Mr. Minister, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very delighted to welcome you for this 7th edition of Paris Infraweek, and I would like to thank Minister Roland LESCURE to welcome us in this minister. We are very lucky because he is very modest, but we can't have better expert of infra world than Roland. So it's a good opportunity for us to have this meeting today. And I would like to thank also Deputy Minister Mrs. BELCHIOR to be in Paris to express the needs of Brazil. Brazil is a kind of far west for infras. So what a better country to discuss all these topics. You are our country guest for this 2023 Paris Infra Week, and you benefit from a great momentum to the upcoming presidency of the G20. you will host the COP30, and we followed the launch of Novopak, you've just mentioned in your speech a few minutes ago. So this 2023 Paris Infraweek is taking place in a good context to speak about infras. As an airport CEO, I eat decarbonization at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm very happy to share all these meals with you. This context is unprecedented. Why? Because first, the acceleration of reforms by all the governments in the world, and also the French government, aims to accelerate the decarbonization and green reindustrialization of the economy. I would not mention all the plans launched by the French government because it will take too much minutes. Secondly, the growing importance of infras as mainly unlisted real asset class in the portfolios of institutional investors. According to a recent survey of leading European and international institutional investors, 60% of these investors plan to significantly increase the proportion of infras in their portfolios at an annual average growth of more than 13%. Third, we have seen the consolidation of the Paris financial market ecosystem, which has become stronger and more diversified, confirming its leader role in Europe. As you know, and that's the reason why you are here, and I thank you for that, Paris is recognized for the quality of its key infra market players, industrial and infrastructure developers, as well as the world-class banks in infra financing. 4 French banks are among the 10 first mandated in the world as lead arrangers, with a commitment of more than 100 billion euros. We see also the rise of a new category of mid-cap market funds, which are transforming the infra financing ecosystem on the frontier of private equity, and whose assets under management have increased tenfold over the last years to reach 50 billion euros. These mid-market funds are also serving the nascent of infra developers, the infratechs. It's a new generation of players that strengthen the ecosystem of the Paris financial centers, startups, SMEs, and mid-cap companies, providing solutions. All in all, there is a unique dynamism in infra in the Europe and worldwide, and our objective is to make Paris one of the world's leading capitals for structuring infrastructure projects legally and financially. I insist on the legal point of view, and I want to salute all the lawyers who are here, because, as you know, there is a big distance between speeches and concrete projects. And the bridge to go from the speeches to the project is mainly dependent of the quality of the law and the quality of the regulation which are implemented for the infra project. So that is the reason why I'm very happy to see that in this week, nearly each evening, 1 or 2 law companies gather an event to promote the good way to implement infra projects. Our priority is to mobilize private investment to support the importance of infra financing needs. Just for transportation, we consider that the investment wall is 200 billion for the 10 coming years. And it is the case for sustainable aviation fuel. I can tell you, everybody, that if you want to produce sustainable aviation fuel, we, as an airport company, they, as airlines company, are keen to buy SAF at each price, at every price you can propose. Because no minister in the world can resist to the pressure of the Greens to make an obligation to put sustainable aviation fuel in planes. So if tomorrow a kind of magical company were able to produce the sustainable aviation fuel to put it 20% in the planes, even it is 5 times the price of the kerosene price, no minister could resist to the temptation to make that compulsory. So don't hesitate to invest in sustainable aviation fuel. Sorry for this advertising moment. These transformations and new challenges will be discussed during this week. I told about more 50 roundtables, gathering more than 250 euros international market professionals. I thank also the government to choose this week for his Paris Deep Decarbonization Forum, the meeting dedicated to the French government commitment to turning France into the first zero-carbon industrial nation. In this week, we will have also the occasion to address the emerging market infra priorities. The Global Infrastructure Hub, the body established by the G20, used recent data to estimate that the investment gap in the world reached 3 trillion euros, more than 3 times the figure we had in 2017. The Indian presidency also underlined the importance of enhancing capacity building. In this field, I'm delighted to welcome our third class of the capacity building program launched with IFC program. It's a very important program, and I hope that the French government will help EUROPLACE to continue to finance this program, which is addressed to mid-career professionals from public sector from emerging countries. And finally, I would like to welcome the third edition of the Infra Next Gen, the awards for young infra professionals of the Paris Financial Center, launched in partnership with Infravenir. To conclude, I just want to underline that Paris EUROPLACE will accelerate its initiatives to support these developments with a threefold objective. The first one, uniting and hosting the Paris Financial Center's infrastructure ecosystem through targeted working groups, conferences, and networking events as this one. Reinforcing our action in the direction of industrial sectors like the collaboration developed with Infranum, the digital infrastructure sector on with which several joint initiatives have been launched to mobilize and raise awareness of the challenges of financing digital infrastructures. Second, promoting the capacities of the Paris Financial Center to attract international infrastructure funds, as well as arrangers, consulting, advisories. And finally, strengthening our international cooperation with Asia, Middle East, Latin America, Africa, with a focus on our priority topic of infrastructure quality that we call Quality Infrastructure Initiative, QII. So altogether, I'm very pleased to open this full-day agenda co-organized by the French Treasury and FINAFRA, which will take us through the challenges that we have to face towards low-carbon efficient economic models. So this week is a kind of bridge, as the logo expresses. It is a bridge with all the speeches we can have, the speeches of the urgency of decarbonization and the projects. And today, we need projects. And to conclude, I will tell you that if we, the airline ecosystem, are not able to have projects to decarbonize our industry, we will face to green people who will forbid us to plane. As you know, a famous French economist expressed the fact that in our life, we will be obliged to fly only 4 times. 4 times in a life. It was an image he did recognize. But this image shows us how it's important to be at work to realize projects to decarbonize. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Augustin de Romanet, and thank you so much for the speakers for opening addresses for this inaugural day of Paris Infraweek.